This is a teardown of an Extreme Networks Summit x450-24x switch. And this is a 24-port SFP switch, gigabit only. And I'm going to need a number 1 Phillips for this. Oh. Past me did something nice and removed all the screws to save time. Oop. Not all the screws, most of the screws. Oh no. Past me left a surprise. Security stickers holding the cover on. There we go. And one more screw. There we go. In theory, that's it. Here's the cover. And the serial port. It's on its own little header there. So this has a little riser board for the indicator lights for the front ports. This thing is very dusty. Oop, missed a screw. I'm missing a lot of screws today. There we go. There's the front light board. Not much to see. Let's see here. HC164A. Got a Phillips chip there. 7HC123D. I assume these are like either multiplexer or driver chips, because I believe these LEDs will do green or yellow. Also, they blink. Yeah, I believe they'll do green or yellow. Show error states and stuff like that. And this board in the back here is frequently the culprit for why it stops working, the switch that is. So my understanding is this board is basically the brains of the switch, and it has the boot drive on it. There we go. So here's the CF card that has the OS on it. Clock battery. And as you can see here, those capacitors are bulging. And with them bulging like that, I think it causes basically voltage instability. And the switch can't boot properly. Alright, that is being soldered. Clock battery has 4 little pins in there that plug into the top of this chip made by ST Micro. And that's the Broadcom chip that, to the best of my knowledge, controls everything. Pop this heatsink off here, hopefully without damage. I mean, I'm going to damage the traces on the board and stuff, but I don't want to take the chip with it. Ta-da! Springy. I think I've taken the traces with that. Sometimes you have to get creative. Dang it. I hate it when they epoxy these on and you can't pop the chip off with, or pop the heatsink off. Oh, there we go. Got lucky. I could hear the traces ripping from under the chip. You basically have to either get a good chunk of the heatsink or you get it by the corner. That's not a good sound. I'm taking the chip off with the heatsink. I'm gonna try it from this edge. There we go. Anywho, just gonna disconnect stuff here. Weirdly enough, these switches, rather than having the wires come from the power supply, they come from the main board and plug into the power supply. Kind of backwards from what I'm used to, but I don't know. One more screw. I don't believe these power supplies are prone to bad caps. Yeah, I don't see any capacitors that are bulging. I guess one nice thing about the cable coming from the motherboard is it makes the power supply look cleaner. It's a DLN-Z143 and it does 5 and 12 volts out. I don't know how many watts it is. I don't feel like doing math. I might be able to do it. 32. 75. So almost 140 watts. It's a Skynet power supply. I just noticed that. Oh boy. I am not going to bother with taking the board out for the video just because I don't believe there's anything to gain. Yeah, it's just mostly passive components under the board. It's going to be a pain to take it out with all the screws and standoffs. I would assume that's a switching chip. That sends all the traffic, so you see the traces going to the stack ports. And then the other traces go to these two chips, which I think probably break it out even further into the gigabit SFP ports. And then we got another Broadcom chip over here for the RJ45 ports. And if I remember correctly, those are shared. Yeah, so the RJ45 and the corresponding SFP ports are shared. So it's more common with these older switches and it's kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to show. Bunch of power regulation over here. And a fancy blower fan. These standoffs are made out of brass, which is kind of nice. But I think I'm going to leave it at that. So hopefully that was interesting and thanks for watching.